and we are here, and I'm very excited about today's episode. I'm here at Mage and Main High Priestess Hair Salon, getting ready for an event, and I'm very happy to be joined by my partner in crime, the man, the myth, the guy with all sorts of candles behind him, Firewalker. How are you, sir?
I am all right. Good to see you, Darren. Good to see you guys as well. Happy to meet you.
Happy to meet you
Yes.
too.
Indeed,
And
indeed.
I'm very excited to have one of my besties and her sister in Palo and Spiritism, Jhada here, and Ahmadi. They are both Jhada is a Santera, and they are both Poleras, sisters in Palo, which means sacred wood, and it is a form of Spiritism that does incorporate types of necromancy in it. Necromancy is something that all four of us have as part of our lives to some degree. Is as close as last night, I was talking to some malevolent spirit that was shaking somebody's CPAC machine right off their face, and that was challenging. So it can be a difficult thing, and I can't share any more about it, other than these can be harrowing things that people deal with. And certain people know how to talk to spirits and how to integrate. So I'm really welcome to the podcast. You both are really great
Welcome.
to see you.
Thank
So
you.
thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honored to be on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I think what I would just start with is a question for both of you. Jhada, first, how would you describe necromancy, and how did you find yourself practicing those types of arts? And just a little bit about your story would be helpful for people, I'm sure.
Sure. I started speaking to dead people when I was 5. My grandfather, who passed before I was born, ended up coming to me. I don't remember what he said, but my mom said I was like talking animatedly out on the back path, and she asked me who I was talking to, and I said it was her father, and I had not seen a picture of him, and I described him, down to the ground.
Right.
And I've just been having paranormal experiences most of my life. I have always heard spirits. For me, necromancy is more about, my path is trying to get spirits that are lost and broken and have no family, no human beings left that remind them who they are, or to propitiate them. My goal is to help get them in a space where they can speak with other spirits, and then get ready to cross, to go to the next place that they're supposed to go to, instead of being trapped.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. And Ahmadi, how did that happen for you?
Gosh, I can't even remember what I first, I always thought in the beginning that what I was speaking to were imaginary friends. And then
That's
it just
common, actually. Yeah, sure.
And like, for instance, I used to tell everybody that I had a twin sister, and it had been detected at one point that there were actually 2 heartbeats.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
there had,
Right.
I don't know, but yeah, it starts really, really young, and for you again, I thought they were just like kind of imaginary people that nobody else could possibly see, but it was just normal.
Yeah, some people's normal and some of our normals are, a little different. Were you supported in your communities to become who you were? How did that go? Kind of give us a little bit of what you went through to become the person you are. Because I like to give a little bit of a magical origin story for people so they can hear what you've been through and then kind of talk about what we've come to talk about. But I like to give
He
people these
loves the
stories.
magical origin. Yeah.
I do. It's my thing. I know it's my
I
little.
mean, it is like who we are. So yeah.
Story,
There were no books that
Right.
I had easy access to back in the 1980s.
Yes,
What we got was a little purple primer Magic for Dummies book called the Magic. Was it the Magic Spell Book, or the Witch's Spell Book? The Modern Witch's Spell Book. That's right. And it was purple.
Oh, right.
And, yeah,
with
and
the universal hexagram on it on the front and white. Yeah.
My classmates, if they pissed me off.
Right.
See, what happened with me, I grew up on South Street in Philadelphia in the 80s.
Ooh.
Right.
So
Oh, okay.
it was a magical place all in itself. And one of the places that I used to go to was this flea market, and there was a woman there. She was indigenous, and she was the one that actually patted me on the head at the age of 11 and said, "Yes, rocks do talk."
Wow.
So I mean,
Okay.
yeah, the people that you're speaking to, the people that you're seeing are actually real. They're not in your head,
Right.
and you're not possessed by the devil or whatever some of the other people that I associated with were saying. They're like, you don't want to talk to those kinds of things. They're demons, and I'm like, yeah, they don't look like demons.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
Right.
yeah,
yeah, sure. I mean, and
But through
Darren,
that lens,
you
that
deal
that
with a
that
lot of
fundamental
these things.
Christian lens, it says anything that's
Right.
not specifically this has to be,
Mhm.
malevolent of
Anything
some.
not of God, clearly stated, is therefore demonic.
Well, I mean, and I feel as though I was lucky because I
Mm.
had there in Philly during the 80s. There was a a fledgling pagan community that was going
Mm-hmm.
on, and there was the African American community, which were already deep into
Deeply
voodoo and Santo
ingrained
and
in the
Palo.
Philly community.
But in the Philly community, they were all very, very buried at that point in time. And little white girl going into these shops, where it was kind of
Hmm.
they either patted me on the head,
Wow.
they said you don't belong. Most of the time, they
Did
just
they?
patted me on the head.
Did you
Pardon?
feel the energy of like a Babala when you would like just wander into these places? Did you feel the presence of that even as a young girl, like as a?
I I felt the presence that some people had more oomph than others.
Mm,
Right.
I didn't have
Hmm.
time for it.
It's
So it
more
was kind
power.
of, okay,
yeah.
this guy demanded a little bit more respect, but I never had a name for it at that point in time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
Well, that
my.
makes sense. I mean, you wouldn't have a language for it. Yeah.
My parents
Yeah.
tried to help, encourage me by buying a copy of the Malleus Maleficarum for my birthday.
The
Okay.
I
Hammer of
explained to
Witches.
Okay.
them what it was.
Did you know what
Oh
it
my
was
God.
translated to?
He tried. It was in English.
Well, that's
It
nice
was
at
in
least.
English.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that'll
So
give you
so
a
for
deep
my
end
cousin
kind of
Joey, for my cousin Joey,
right.
the Malleus Maleficarum is what the witch hunters would use
The
to
witch's hammer.
delineate
Yep.
the
It
witch's
was
Right.
the
hammer
book the
to find the
Inquisition
the
used to
people that
hunt
were
witches.
talking to the infernal
Yes.
beings to punish
Yep.
them.
Yes. It
Sure.
was the yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or just having like herbal remedies and like being a midwife, but whatever. Sure.
Mhm.
Or
Right.
being a rich widow. You know.
Sure.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Or
help.
Or
knowing when
Yeah.
the
just,
weather's going to
a woman
change, or
on
being a
fire.
rich widow, right?
Yep.
Or being
Right.
attractive,
Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
sexy, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that
Right.
Or
that
Sure.
could be bad.
being a woman who won't fall for patriarchal bullshit back then.
Right.
Mhm.
Sure.
You know.
Right.
Right.
Being rebellious sometimes led to a little bit of a Bernie vibe. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
not. I mean, there's so much that we could get into about
Oh my
how all of that is horrifying, and we do definitely talk
God.
about that a lot on this program. It's always good to have women on here that
Mhm.
express their magic, found their own power, don't have a issue expressing it. That's why we kind of give you guys, we love to give you a platform to speak about what you do. And I guess given that, like, what do you guys do now with your work, and how has necromancy fit into it, as far as like what things you offer to people, um and what surprised you about it that you thought, you know, I guess people wouldn't think about it, like, because it's not all just scary. There's like, skeletons flying around. You know what I mean? People have such a scary way of looking at death, way of looking at like the personification, like a Lord of Death. Like everyone thinks that guy comes to you, and you know what I mean? Like it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's always so scary looking. It's always such a horror movie.
Mhm.
Like,
Well,
I don't know.
well,
The
I'm
well, the
amount
other
of
rambling, but
thing
what,
is,
the amount
and
of
can I,
crying.
can I say though, I don't know anything about you seeing spirits as much as I know about all kinds of stuff about. Did you see spirits as a young kid? Like, because you know all about me seeing spirits, but
Me?
Firewalker.
Ah, yeah.
oh, Yeah, I saw spirits. I felt a lot in my room. I more often had spirit sight and visionary sight.
Hmm.
I would just lay in my room as a child and see the energy fields kind of
Yeah.
morphing and shifting, and kind of like I was in a
Mhm.
womb-like container in the room,
Yep.
and I would just lay half awake and listen to birds talk and kind of understand what
Yeah.
they were saying.
Mm.
You're
I don't
Native
know.
American.
I
Your
had some kind of
Cherokee side is
shaman.
like so amped up.
Yeah,
You
dude.
got
I don't
shot.
know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you got a whole
Yeah,
nother thing
my
going.
shaman stuff just came to me as a kid. I used to push on my eyes and just see all these colors and symbols and go through all different kind of
Oh.
like occult symbols would go by, and astrology symbols and huge like maps and just all this stuff. And I would just kind of try to interpret it. But I played a game as a child doing that. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And then
My
I,
Mhm.
great
took some
grandfather's.
hallucinogens and found that I was just
Yeah.
tripping without tripping.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Well, it also sounds
that
like
was
you were
most of my experience.
accessing universal knowledge at the same time as a child.
Indeed. It was all coming. I just didn't know how to interpret it. Bits and pieces came through as I, grew up and got a little bit older. And then I had some solidifying experiences that gave me the knowledge like, okay, this is a power that I have to like deal with these things, and I should probably just do that. So
Mhm.
I just kept it moving, and then,
Yeah.
worked in the voodoo shop and met this weirdo. And the rest is history. But
Meanwhile, my
okay, so
grandfather's telling me about the horse track. My great grandfather, or telling me like what some of my family members would do. So it was more of that
right.
familial vibe, which is my family was so centered in spirituality as an Orthodox Catholic or Maronite, which is like Northern Lebanese family.
Mhm.
But yeah, you've always had a lot of Abatala vibes. Like just kind of kicked up about a little bit higher than some of my more terrestrial stuff. So that's really interesting.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but I never asked you that, so that's interesting for me.
Yeah, right on.
What?
Indeed.
So we
But
can't talk
it is the
about.
Feast of Assumption today, talking about
Yeah,
It is
Mary.
the
Weren't
Feast
you
of
saying that
Assumption.
earlier?
Yep.
yes.
What exactly is that all about? Because I obviously not raised Catholic. You want to take that, Jada, and tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, the Feast of Assumption. I have not really much of an idea. I am familiar-ish with it, but I do not adhere to any sort of uh, European Christian standard when it comes
Right,
to. Yeah, I'm if I follow any saints, they're all syncretized to either Loa or Orisha.
right. Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, so I guess
Um,
Darren, what is
Pass
the
it over
Feast
to
of
me.
Assumption?
In Little Italy, in Cleveland, where I grew up, we have a statue of the Madonna, the Blessed Virgin, and she's walked through the streets. She's blessed, and she's brought in for several, 2 or 3 times in the day. And there's a huge festival, and then there's a lot of cavatelli and things served. I'm sure, Ahmadi, you've maybe seen some of this in Philly, right? To some degree.
To some
In the,
degree, I grew up
yeah.
Jewish,
Oh, okay.
so
Well, you're right.
it's.
Okay, but in the
Yep.
Italian neighborhoods they do that. So you have the icon of the
Mhm.
Blessed Virgin walk through the streets, and then she's like praised, and there's flowers thrown. Again, it's very the same energy as Yamanya, or Mami Wata, or that same or Kuan
It's
Yin if we go
the
to
Great
Asia.
Mother, right?
Mhm.
It's
Sure.
Great Mother Creation Matrix energy, and it is where she
Right.
was inducted into the heavenly pantheon of Abrahamic divinity forms. So that whole
All right.
thing.
Yeah, because it was that day today, so I thought I'd bring that up. I thought you guys talking about that. Um, I guess the main question to go back to, Jada, is how did you get introduced to necromancy? I know there's certain aspects of your practices that are like kind of closed circles. But if there's anything that you can get into, I know that there's some Thai necromancy that Darren had told me about. I did a little bit of research on that. Interested in that, and also would love to hear what you have to say. So
So
definitely.
on Thai necromancy, I would direct anybody watching to go to Peter Jenks. He is the foremost authority on on Thai occult. He has
Mhm.
multiple books out. He's been living in Thailand for years, and he is friends with a lot of the Ajarns there. So he's been able to get there to share their stories and some of their
And then
processes.
a Jarin is like a Hungan or
Yeah, and
spiritual
Ajarn is
worker or
a
stuff. Yeah.
teacher. He's a teacher.
Okay,
Right.
a teacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
For God, I
And
started seeing
Ahmadi, are
spirits
you
when I was a
familiar with the
teenager.
Thai practice as well?
Yes, yes, I
You are
am.
as well.
I
Okay.
work with.
Yeah.
Oh, very
Tell
good.
us more about that.
Pardon?
I just love to hear more about it because I was just
Oh,
curious.
I work mostly with kumantong, which are child spirits
Yep.
that
Oh,
were uh, made, and they're these mischievous children, and they help out with all sorts of different types of things. But yeah, having a bunch of kids running through your house at all hours of the night, wanting sweets and sodas, and stealing your shit. But
I have
it's
my pendant for the Marasa on tonight, right now. Actually,
nice.
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a
So,
collection of pry with the spirits connected that I work with. Um, and
Mm.
I went kind of deep down the Thai necromancy rabbit hole because it really, it, I don't know, it hits a feeling that nothing else gets. You
yeah,
know, I
yeah.
love
okay.
Okay.
Palo, the African necromancy. I love Santeria. I love Voodoo, but there's something about the Thai necromancy that is, it's hard to put into words.
It's
Oh,
visceral.
Yes.
It's just
visceral.
visceral. That's
Well, you
that's
mentioned these
the
child spirits, and
put
you
it.
you talked about them, Ahmadi, like they're almost elemental in their, and you said created, were they brought to life, or were they human in their birth,
So
or were they?
there are horror stories about babies being pulled, like the stomach being cut open and the baby being pulled out and the mother killed, and that is the creation of the Kumantong. But that's like a boogeyman. That's a fairy tale that people
I
tell.
see.
It's
Okay.
From what
not
I,
just
yeah, what I understood, I heard that if a pregnant woman dies violently, um, that spirit is at unrest,
It is
and
the
the
totally different
so
spirit.
the that
right,
is a totally different spirit. If a pregnant woman dies in childbirth and both her and the infant die, depending on how
okay,
violent the death is, usually drowning is the most powerful.
right,
That creates what's called a Pitai Tonglam, I believe, and
okay,
it is one of the more powerful spirits that you can work with.
okay. Yeah, I heard about that, and I heard that sometimes people will go into the cemeteries and they'll get corpses, and they'll make corpse oil from
That's
it and
Mm.
put
where
it in amulets.
Yeah, that's
What
where
is that?
you can see pictures of the Ajarns throughout Peter Jenks's books, where
Okay,
they are working in the cremation grounds overnight. And they work
right.
in the cairns where they set up a lot of candles and
The
they mix
Carnes, yeah.
all of their oils and stuff like that. Corpse oil, from my understanding, is you place a lighter under
It's
the
sin.
chin and then you
Right,
gather the oil that collects.
right.
And anything from a human body is pry.
Okay, right. And
Is the
just to
blanket
also
term.
point out, maybe in our cultures in America, maybe people are like, whoa, but there it's actually very commonly known about. And
I'm
no, it's a sect of it's not like Buddha stuff. I mean, I get that, but there, from what I was reading, it said that people knew about this and that it
People
wasn't
know about it,
frowned
but they
upon
don't
the
tell
same way.
outsiders about it.
Mhm.
This is not
Okay,
something that when I went to Thailand, I could not find anybody. You know, you
so
really
they
have
keep
to
it
know
they keep it
someone.
like the
So
red sex in Haiti. It's kind of
would
right.
this be akin to finding like the Obia man on the mountain in Jamaica, like that you're just not they're not gonna just open that door for you at all. Like you had to
Well,
really.
you have some people that will do sakyant, which is the sacred tattoos, but it's hard. Like unless you have a valid source and you know who you're dealing with,
Right.
like the yantras that they put on could be half-assed. They could be telling, you know, they could be bringing in energy that you don't want, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So were
Okay,
you both in
okay. So
Thailand together when you went on your journey?
No,
Ahmadi, were you part of that?
No, that was just me.
Okay.
okay.
But okay, so how would you let into how, I mean, I could, anyone that is around Jada would that's worth their salt would know that she definitely knows how to communicate and have congress with the dead in a benevolent and positive way, and
Thank
honor
you.
them in a humble in a way. So did they just know that you were somebody they could trust with this information when you encountered them in Thailand, or
So,
how did that?
well, I wasn't able to meet any of the Ajarns in Thailand.
Uh-huh.
But the next time I go, I now have contacts if I want to go back.
Okay.
That's cool.
Um, it's it's hard to say.
Well, yeah, and you
I
don't
have a
have to
very
if you don't. Yeah, I'm not digging that well if you don't want to go there. Yeah, I'm just.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was
I
So,
just
had
trying
but
to ask about like the practices of it, like what the practices might be like and what they be for. Kind of like to give people an idea of how this may differ or be the same to some other things they might have heard of before, just because it's an
well,
interesting
Haitian
path looking.
practice and mainland New Orleans practice are not a million miles away, but this does seem to be very primal in its aspects and
oh
stuff like. And
yeah.
you both seem to be
Oh yeah.
very comfortable with it. And this guy and I, we don't really share a brain, but and so we know a lot of the things, but we don't know anything about this. Is out of our realm of knowledge. So it's really
Yeah, that's why I was
super
curious, like
interesting.
really. So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's again for a deep dive. Go to Peter Jenks. Look on YouTube. You've got some
Hmm.
videos
Oh
of some conversations with him. He's a stellar human being.
that's cool.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
It's got
Okay.
fabulous books.
Yep.
Fabulous books, and it will. Anything that you really want to
But
be learning
and
about
Jenks
palm,
is and we'll
even
put it
deep
we'll put it in
stuff.
the
Yep.
notes of the episode too.
Yeah,
It's
we can put that in the notes.
JENKS.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. In the show notes,
Thank you.
we'll leave some links on that. If somebody came to, do you practice any of that for other people?
The Thai necromancy, no. I work mostly with my my African necromantic spirits. I have a spiritual court because I've been doing this for about 30 years. And it really, so I
Mm.
kind of interface with a couple of spirits and everything else is delegated by like
Okay,
other spirits that step in to do the work.
okay, that's fair.
Um. So
If somebody
some
came to you,
questions.
like,
Okay.
what do people
Go
come to you
ahead,
for?
buddy.
I guess that's the question.
Uh, Healing, um, broken heart, curses, um,
Aaron, you
stuff
know a
like
little bit
that.
about all this. So yeah, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Oh,
don't do
Okay.
love spells. I don't I'll fuck with love, as I say, because
right.
it's not
Okay.
my jam. I would much rather help people be able to speak to the spirits that they need to, get messages that they need, as well as just propitiating spirits so that they can reintegrate back into source.
Okay, that's
Um.
fair. And Ahmadi,
That.
what types of things do you get up to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, worked with John and I together worked in a paranormal group out of
Mhm.
where I used to live in Pennsylvania, and through that we used to go to people would call up with different types of spiritual encounters and wondering what exactly they
Mhm.
could do. Uh, John and I would go in on occasion in order to help people. I mean, it's basically it's a communication thing. People are living in a house where there's spirits that are already there, and so it's
Right.
like kind of like learning how to live with roommates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're just dead.
yeah,
Right.
right.
So
How did you
and
guys meet?
trying
I didn't mean to stop
how
you
did
on
we
your. Yeah, I'm curious. I've known Jada for, I mean, at least like probably 13 years now.
Something like that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so you two seem to have a lot of history. How did you run into each other? I don't
a little
know if
bit
you were in Pennsylvania, Jada, or what was. You two seem to have a lot of synchronistic energy. Um,
We work
this
well
guy and I ran
together.
into each other
yeah,
in like 2000 at Marie Laveau's working together.
I think
So
it was what 2002, 2003,
uh huh.
2000
2009, was it?
yeah
Oh my gosh.
Spiritu Santo at Four Quarters 2009.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And did
You
you
know,
did you
one of
just
our
see
other
each
friends is like,
other and like feel that synchronicity that you two could understand each other and stuff like that?
I believe we
almost
came into each other's lives for a reason.
Indeed.
Beautiful.
yeah
Yeah,
Yeah, that
we
Yeah.
happens with a lot of spiritual folks for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like not to
back in
question.
mhm. back in 2014, during that whole crazy 2013, 2014, when we were both running with the paranormal group, we were also doing I hate calling them lectures, talks.
Yeah.
Together at different
They say
pagan
TED
events.
Talks now. I mean, I don't know what
Hosting
that buzzword is, but
conversations.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, conversations.
conversation. Right,
Yes.
right.
And again, teaching people, and it was all basically communication and teaching people on how to build sacred space, what to
Mhm.
do when they encountered spirits, just so that people wouldn't freak out, or that they would know what to do. Working with people who are grieving, I've personally worked with a couple that had a kid who committed suicide.
Mm.
They wanted to know what to do.
Right.
I mean, it's just it really it very much varies with the people, but it's basically it's being open to dealing with the public and being able to communicate that
Mhm.
the dead are just people. They're just
The dead were,
harder to talk for most
and they're as
people.
complicated as humans are when they're alive,
Yep.
and they can be.
Yes.
I found
Mm-hmm.
that suicide victims, or people that have committed suicide, can be, or their families, what their families' needs are, can be the most challenging situations, like really challenging, that I've
Suicide
encountered.
suicide spirits are actually a joy to work with.
Hmm.
There is a Thai spirit. His name is Cha Chai. He's a delightful young gay man who hung himself. And now he runs around with me and helps other suicidal people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
What I found to be challenging
You
is the
never know.
family's needs in the
Yes.
aftermath.
Yes.
That's what I found
Yeah.
to be
That
Yeah,
challenging.
the dead are easy. The living are difficult.
Oh my God.
That's it.
that's a good bumper
And they
sticker. I
need
like that.
and they want to go back to the moment when they passed, and they don't want to talk about that anymore. They don't. They're ready to go to the, like,
Yeah.
that part's over. They don't want to go back to that.
I
A
just
lot of
picture Jesus coming back and going, remember that time you were crucified? Ah?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want to talk about that. That's the last thing I want to talk about. That's it.
Prank
So
caller. Prank caller. Yeah, I don't
I
want
know.
to.
It's like
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
2,000-year-old punchline.
what
Right.
are some things that people are common misconceptions, or what would they feel like? What are some useful, the practice of necromancy, and I certainly know some, that you feel like people wouldn't realize are useful things that can be accomplished through necromancy to further our lives, and make things kind of happen in a more beneficial way or positive way.
Resolution.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big one, huh? Can you
Yeah.
speak a little more on that?
So people often carry these very painful stories around with them.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes it takes a very meaningful, true experience for somebody to be moved enough to let that story go.
Right.
And
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
when, like, I remember Ahmadi and I were in a house and we came across the spirit of this old Jewish man, and Ahmadi started reciting. Um,
Oh Lord, I remember that.
started reciting the Mourner's Kaddish.
Kaddish,
And
yeah.
then the man came into one of us and just broke down in grateful tears. And then he was able to go.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had
That's
Wow.
it.
another spirit friend of mine collects
Hmm.
urns from thrift shops, and
Oh,
used urns. And one of them was this
okay.
young soldier,
Wow. All right.
and she had to wrap the urn in a towel because it kept yelling. And so I went over one night and talked to him and unwrapped him, and he said, I want you to play or to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I was like, wow, fuck you. No, we don't do that here. And he
Whoa.
said, please. And so I started reciting the
Please.
Pledge of Allegiance. Two
I'm
other
loving this
witches
right
in the
now.
room joined me. We finished the Pledge of Allegiance,
There
and
you
then
go.
we played taps, and then he was able
Reveille.
to go.
There
Oh
you go.
wow.
That's what he
Taps.
wanted.
Yeah,
He wanted
exactly.
that. And that's
Exactly.
so not you. So I love that you did that. Good for you. You're
Right.
serving
It's not
spirit,
always what
and
you
but you
want
know
them
Yeah.
to
what?
do. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that is Jada, and I don't know you as well, Ahmadi. But that I would imagine that you like if it serves spirit and it serves higher, like it serves the greater good, then okay,
Yeah. Bite the
like
bullet
what
and do it,
Oh,
man. Yeah.
bite the
Sure.
bullet and do it. Yeah,
do.
yeah,
You do what
yeah.
you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time. I mean, one of the things that that we've done with helping people
Mhm.
with their dead, with dealing with the dead in their house, is setting up sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, set up a space for these spirits. A lot of times, all they want to do is be acknowledged.
Yeah.
They just
I
Mhm.
want to
tell people
acknowledge
this
they're there.
like every day, like at least a couple
Mm.
times. Someone
Yeah,
will say, I want to talk to, you know what I mean? And I just say, okay, well, go ahead and get some of their pictures and stuff they liked, get a, white
Mm-hmm.
candle, get a glass of water, get some,
Yeah.
get some things that are related to your culture, but just get those things too. And
yes,
just set it up, and then that way I tell people sometimes it's good to connect with their ancestors first, because if they're walking with you, then you can kind of look into other divination,
Mm-hmm.
other, other spirits and other pantheons, because everybody's like, oh, I want to talk to blah blah blah, and I'm like, you might want to talk to your grandpa first,
yes,
Start
so to
with
yes.
your
get that
ancestor
ancestral
altar. Why
connection
is
first.
that so hard to for people
Mhm.
to? I don't understand.
I don't know, they're
But
weirded out by it,
but
and that, yeah.
The dead being dead and dying is something that Americans and a lot of other cultures are really uncomfortable discussing. You
Mhm.
know,
yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And anything to
Yes.
do with the dead or the concepts of death, because I mean, I work in a place where it's like we have, Santa Muerte and the Lord of Death and Baron Samedi, and just there's so many spirits of the dead. I mean, I work in New Orleans, obviously it's ridiculous for me to be surprised by that, but you know what I mean? Like people, they come
yeah,
in, they're just like, I don't want to talk about death, and we're like, why not? I mean, you have people walking with you. Do you want to say hi, or do you want them to help you,
Yeah.
or do you want to help them, or do you want to create a,
And you're
like, your
walking
family
around a
is bigger than your physical
necropolis right
family, right?
now.
And
You're
Yeah.
walking
one thing
around a
we do is
necropolis.
we encourage
Yeah.
people. We encourage people. I mean, your ancestors, elevate your dead. The more you speak of them, the more set out their favorite foods, set out the candles, put out the waters, put out the different drinks that they love, their black coffee, their Irish whiskey. Put these things out, elevate them, give them strength. The more strength that you give them, the more strength that they can bring back down to you.
I say,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
I'd say
yeah, and
right.
that
Right.
that circular concept of
mhm,
life and death infusing the living, infusing the dead. All of these concepts are very normal to us because we're working with these energies all the time, and it's kind of like I was talking to you, Darren, earlier. Like there's this little spirit pool, right? And some people kind of stepping in real slow. We're all sitting at the bottom of the deep end,
Mhm.
just kind of hanging out. You know what I'm saying? We're like and like I was like that pool of water I was in my room when I was a kid. I was just
Yeah.
being told like you are in the water, bro, and that's all that's going to happen for you. And
mhm,
so we try to tell people like step in, just get a little bit more comfortable with it. Don't dive in all the way to
Uh-huh.
the deep end.
Hit your
Kind
mhm.
of
head on
take
the
your
cement.
time
Yeah.
and
Don't
Yeah.
hit
get
your head on
counsel.
the cement.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. Great.
So those concepts I think are good to tell people that there are steps to take. You don't get all of the gnosis in one session. People really want a quick fix. They want an Instagram reel to give them enlightenment, and I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
that's not going to occur.
They
You know what
want
I
a
mean? You
No.
can't
Vine. They want
visually
a
get.
Instagram. They want a TikTok. Like, let's go. Yeah.
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 My mother
Yeah.
got a
No,
Because
you,
you've
little.
been doing this for
My
years.
my grandfather's
yeah.
name was Ignatius, and so I would buy her this Saint Ignatius candle from Marie Laveau's and bring it home and say, hey, light this candle for Grandpa, and she'd have this reluctance to do it, like to open up a dialogue would be weird, or she had a trepidation about it. And I've been working on her to let's get over, let's talk to him together, and there is. I think it's an American thing. I think it's an American affectation to just be a little apprehensive about that.
Well, I think there's
Like, and
also
it's
an
like,
element of possible shame or embarrassment because if they have a
yeah.
spirit that comes through and reads them for filth, then there's some discomfort there, you know?
Hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you got to
think
own it.
there's a well, and it's also there's the traditional religions, the indoctrination only lead you to a certain level of awareness, and that's on purpose, right? Because a
Okay.
docile, uninitiated, uninformed populace is much easier to control.
Mhm.
But
Oh yeah.
100%.
Oh
as
yeah.
we raise, so as we give people these little nuggets of information, the whole point is that, that's part of the revolutionary act, is just saying you can get spiritualized any way you want. There is no path that's close to you. Like, do what you want. It's your life. It's your incarnation.
Mhm.
That's why we like doing the show. We're talking to different people about different paths, because you found all kinds of different paths. So you practice. For people who don't know, um, what is Palo and Santeria, just like as far as you guys explaining it? Because you guys have a lot of
Go.
experience with it, obviously. So
I'll go first with Santeria. Santeria is a tradition that was brought from Nigeria back when it was called Yoruba land. The Yoruba people still exist in Nigeria. Yoruba is very, very widely spoken still. And the practices shifted as the enslaved Africans were brought across the Middle Passage and then brought to Cuba or Haiti. And in Cuba, that's where Santeria formed, like Havana and Matanzas. You have a couple of different lineages from there, but
Mhm.
it is ancestor veneration first, and then you have a overarching god of the crossroads or of the ocean or of the mountains. And even that sounds really reductive. The
Sure,
Orishas are Olodumari's children, and
sure.
they're kind of like the only thing I could think of is to kind of front load it quickly is that they're almost like Catholic saints in the fact that they are intermediaries between us and a presence in the universe that is so big that it does not have the time to, keep tabs on human beings.
Or get you
Uh,
a parking spot. You know what I'm saying?
or
Yeah.
get me a parking spot. No, that's goddesses solstice, full of grace.
Well, I always tell people when I talk about
Make your
the
share
Yoruba
change.
cosmology, I talk about the Yoruba cosmology and Catholic cosmology, where there's all these hierarchies, right? So you have man, saint, angel, archangel. You know what I'm saying? You're going to these bigger and bigger frequencies, bigger energies, because there's things you don't do daily prayers to. If something really big goes on, you say Michael, like Darren would, but and then as you follow it down, so it's kind of the same with the Orisha, where there's some that are a little bit more terrestrial based and some that are a little bit more cosmic. And I've always appreciated being in a place. I felt the Orishas too when you started talking about it, and talking about Yoruba in Nigeria. It was, so I know that they're on you. I can feel them all the way over here. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that. How
I
did
was
you get
I was
The
involved with
probably
it?
familial energy of it. Yeah, the familial energy
I
of it.
walked into my godparents' house after blowing my life up.
Mhm.
Summer of 2003, I was in a miserable relationship. I was miserable. And I went to Voodoo Ogun and I said, okay, Papa, I need you to remove everything that is holding me back, all of the barriers that are in place, including the ones that I put on myself. I lost my job. I lost my car. I lost a couple of friendships. I had to move. It was nuts, and it was the best thing that could ever happen. A couple months later, I walked into my godparents' house, and 7 months later, I was in Cuba making ocha.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
I came into the house, and she was like, "Where have you been?"
There she
Ah,
is,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Amadi,
yeah.
so you don't, did you have a path with Ocha or Santeria, or was
No.
it so just with Paulo? Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your how you would like to share about like what Paulo is for the layman, or what you're allowed to share? Um,
Uh,
what you're
Paulo
allowed to
is
share. I know
well.
that we're not going to talk about initiation
Yeah.
rites or anything
Sorry,
like
I
that.
won't.
Mhm.
I.
Well,
I.
we'll get smacked if we do. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Really.
and
So.
we're, these two guys are both aware of that. Like we're fully aware.
yeah,
I work at a
I
voodoo
figured.
shop. I know. I know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So.
I know.
I'm
Good.
saying for
While.
the
While.
audience, like what
Sure.
what's their takeaway so they can get like maybe a toe in the idea of it, and that's all I'm saying.
Palo is out of the Congo, while while Santeria is out of Nigeria and the upper areas. They really are two completely totally different religious systems that have been lumped together in because they both went to Cuba and to the islands and
Sure.
Palo is a bit more earthbound, more deadbound, more forest. The earth, as opposed to having as to having with the Orisha. There are no saints that correspond to Palo elements, or the way from the way my house was taught.
Sure.
You want in Santeria, you've got Patakis, you've got stories of what the Orishas have done.
Right.
When I asked my godfather one time, what stories do I have from Palo? He said to me, "You want from Palo? You want stories from Santea? You listen to a storm. You listen to the wind. You want
Wow.
stories of the Yamlatera? You listen to the mountains. You want and so it's, instead of it being more personified like in Santeria, it is more of go out into a mountain and listen.
Yeah,
And
a lot of the it's like natural forces, lightning, fire, water. It's
yes,
it's more sorcery than religious, like calling
And that's
upon a
what
saint to help you. It's more communing with elemental forces, and I understand that.
communing with elemental forces and communing with the dead.
Yep.
Right.
That it's ancestor worship and the forces of nature.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way that I can explain it to laymen.
Yeah, remember
There is
what
a book
Charlie
out there.
said. Yeah, Charlie said, a friend of ours that's a Tata Nanganga, or was, he does other stuff now, but he would always say, like, praying to the Orishas is like praying up to the sky for something to come bless you. And that Palo is more like calling something up from the ground, more fiery spirits, more like sorcery, ceremonial magic in that sense. And I don't know if you see a relationship to that, but
Kind
it
of.
seems a little bit more like conjuration instead of just prayer. Does that make sense to you?
that's
It
that.
it
Yeah.
does. Paulo is quicker to act. It's more forceful in a lot of ways. You want love work done. You want job work done. Yes, you go to Santo. You want to fuck somebody up, you go to Paulo. That's a lot of the ways that people will that people in the system will say.
We used to say that Palo's like a shotgun.
Yeah.
Like I was living in a house in DC, and there were drug dealers living upstairs. And I was a Yawo at the time. So I went to my Mpaka and I said, I need them to get the fuck out. And 2 weeks later they were gone.
Right. So quick business,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Paulo,
I've heard that too.
Paulo is dirty, or Paulo deals with dirt.
Yeah. I mean, literally, the sacred wood growing from the
Literally.
dirt, from the terrestrial, and when you don't have anthropomorphic divinity forms, you're not
No.
governed by an Alofe technically, but I'm sure there is.
No.
He's there, but in what you're not you're
In
acknowledging
what
him through the
form?
mountains, right? Or
Yes.
through the river, or through the actual soil that you stand on. It's really beautiful
One
in
of
a
the
lot of
things
ways. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
it is a beautiful religion.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of it's about using herbs, using the waters, using the dirts. And it's not all for this malevolent bullshit that a lot of
No.
people will have you
No.
think that are in
No.
the field.
Well,
I
it's
need to
just
turn
power.
on.
It's power, right? You can use that power
Yeah, you're
to
getting
send
darker as
karma
it's
back to
getting
someone.
darker in your. Yeah, if you have a
Yeah,
light
it's
or
darker
something, you
in
could
here. I'm
turn
just
on
trying
behind
Well,
you.
there are I know there have been TV shows or representations of Palo where there's blood and
Right.
bones, and yes, both Lukumi
There you
and
go.
Palo are blood sacrifice traditions,
Right.
but
Sure.
it's not egregious. And
yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Well,
So
I mean, the concept that some people might have with that, you know, it's something that people aren't used to, but at the same time they go to McDonald's. So I mean, I don't know, I mean,
Well, the
personally,
death of the
as
animal is
far as,
certainly nicer if it doesn't go. The death of the animal is certainly cleaner and more kind in our tradition, as opposed to throwing chickens into a mechanical separator where they're plucked alive.
There you
Yeah,
go.
sure.
and where
No,
they're
I understand
basically
that. I mean,
Yeah.
the concepts there. I guess
burned off.
also as far as Paulo's concerned, there isn't really a lot of information about how the initiation process goes, and I'm not asking that, but I think it's very interesting that it's still so closed,
Mhm.
and people just won't talk about it, and I
It's
No,
think that's
closed
actually
because
great.
it's dangerous. It's dangerous unless you're given that connection.
And we
Right,
and I
right.
think
You shouldn't fool with it unless you
Firewalker and I
really
both
know.
celebrate the secrecy of that. I tell everyone that I can that do not be sharing pictures of your altars, whatever your practice is. Do not be putting those on TikTok and everything. Like, no one wants to see your ritual that you're doing. Like, if it's sacred to you, then it should be sacred to the higher, the whatever divinity forms or ancestors or earthly based energies that you're working
Yeah.
with. Do not be sharing that haphazardly all over the place. It doesn't make it
no,
sacred.
no.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And
Yeah,
you
Well, we
So
don't
cannot
allow.
you cannot buy you cannot buy a Lukumi or Apollo initiation on fucking Etsy.
no,
no.
That's fair, right? That's fair.
And those who are
Yeah,
selling it are not real.
Yep.
yeah.
right. And I
So
think
what
that's
are
fair
some
to say,
things?
when you really truly, respect it, that's great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Darren.
So a couple of, just to make, and I think, and this is for me and for Firewalker as well, for all four of us, what are some things that people could, and again, resolution, of course, I think is your main one, your main line for helping these spirits get to where they want to be and resolving things with the families that are left
Yeah.
wondering what's going on. Outside of that, what are a couple things that both of you could share that you think are some positives in utilizing any of the pathways you have for necromancy? Just things that people might not have thought of. And before we end our episode, like that you might want to share.
Personally, when going on for working with people on paranormal investigations,
Mm-hmm.
the relief
Oh,
that you get
yeah.
from you when you hand people the tools on how to speak with their dead and or tell them they are not crazy. Yes, this is happening.
Oh yeah,
Yes, this person
that's it.
is.
That's it.
Great.
It is of a relief because these
Yeah.
people are in crisis.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no matter it's not. I was a crisis counselor for a year, so I
Mm-hmm.
worked with a lot of living
Right.
that were in crisis. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, Ed would intervene with. Oh,
Yeah.
those are stories for another. But but the same type of thing. These people who are doing who would get the cojones up to call
Right.
a paranormal saying, "Hey, this is the crazy shit that's happening to us right
Right.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you help?" And us, Jhada and I have gone in and we've said and we've settled things and we've talked to spirits and and they, and talked to the living and had them, be able to communicate. Being able to take that communication and being able to facilitate peace
Yeah.
between the
Right.
living and the dead life is probably one of the most fulfilling and sacred acts that we could do.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well said. Well said.
I agree
Indeed.
100%. And being someone that works in the industry on my own end and has similar background, I agree with you 100%. It's really great to meet you, really, and yeah,
Me
uh,
too.
yeah. Thank you for saying that. The I'm not crazy
Yeah.
thing. That's really what people want to know, and they want to know they're touching something. And I just try to do everything I can to if I'm saying something and they're saying something and they're not, that we're validating each other so they know
Mhm.
that they're touching spirit in a real way, and that's beautiful. It's really
Well,
beautiful.
really, I mean, how many of us have been in an insane asylum 20 years ago?
Oh yeah, every single person listening to this, and all of us would have been placed in an insane asylum if we
Yeah, no, I
talked
know that.
openly
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, the whole idea of calling everybody schizophrenic, we're not all talking to things that aren't there. Half the guys on
Hmm.
the street aren't either, but they just never got taught and they weren't helped out. You know, there's a lot of mental, quote unquote, mental illness that's actually just unbalanced spiritual lack of growth, or something that wasn't,
Hmm.
something got messed up there and wasn't, the antennas were in place correctly, so they're just kind of
Yeah.
in a loop about it. But
And the
I
people
see
that
that all the
know it,
time, and
the
I'm seeing that.
gatekeepers,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Crowleys
they
and the
know.
secret societies, they all know it's real, and they're just
Oh yeah,
not allowing it to be
Yeah.
public
I'd
knowledge.
go so far as to say that people in really high positions of government know it too and use it.
Of
Hmm.
course, yeah.
Well, I
You
won't
know,
get
how
into
many
my gate
kings? How
program
many kings had
thing.
astrological advisors? You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
Yeah, sure.
how many kings had
So,
people reading the stars and reading
hmm
the
so
It's
portents?
all
Jada,
been, yeah, no,
what
that's,
would you
yeah,
do? You have something you'd like
David,
to
for
add as
sure.
well?
you have a voodoo, a Hugon or a Boko, somebody on his payroll? Papa Doc?
Oh yeah, Papa
Oh,
Doc and Baby
yeah,
Doc.
sure,
He,
sure.
Oh,
Yeah, I think a
if he
lot
he,
of
wasn't
it,
a
he,
Bokor himself,
yeah, it's
Papa
definitely
Doc. I
true.
mean, who knows, dude? I don't know. I mean, that's part of his
Yeah,
lineage, right? I mean,
yeah.
that
sure.
was all.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
I've heard people say that Castro was initiated in
Oh, of
Palo.
course he was. Yeah, no, I know
right.
about that. He was. And also the
How
thing
far?
is, most of these
Yeah.
kingdoms have always used magicians and psychics. It's all,
Yep.
come on. They
Because
teach the
they
religion and they
knew.
use the psychics and
Elizabeth
they
the
tell everybody
First,
we're demons, and then we
uh,
help them out. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah,
Rasputin.
I get that.
I mean, do we need to? I mean, you know,
Sure.
Jada,
Sure.
is there something you would like to say that you think people might need to know as far as this whole idea of speaking with the dead that might give them a little light or something? Just something a takeaway that makes this a little bit more accessible for them in a positive way.
White candle, glass of water, light it. Light the candle when you're ready to talk to your dead. Explain that it's like knocking on a door to start the conversation. Say,
Hmm.
whenever this candle is lit, I am open and receptive to any messages that you have. And you can build your own relationship with your own ancestors, which honestly everybody should be doing.
Yep, yep.
It is
Yeah.
such a gift to connect to your own dead that way. And you can heal generational trauma through that. You can heal your own trauma through that. It's a really
Well
powerful
said.
practice.
Hmm.
Ache,
Indeed.
Ache, well
Beautiful.
Yes.
said.
Well
Well
said
said.
Yeah.
again.
Well said.
I'd
Oh,
say
Well,
for
I
sure.
and
really want to thank both of you for taking the time, and this has been. I gotta say, I think people can get a lot from what we shared here today. I would love to maybe have you guys back at some point if you have the time. And
Oh
again,
yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
we'd love
um,
that.
yeah, if you want to get a hold of Ahmadi or Jada for any sort of help with any of your needs, or
We're
just to
gonna
get in contact with them, look in the notes. Jada is also a practitioner at Sticks and Stones in Fairfax, Virginia, as am I. Ahmadi, thank you again for being here, and we'll look for you again on Walking the Crossroads.